you'll have the ability to manage your reviews in your profile. And here's an example right here. Somebody put a post. It's already powerful to have reviews. It like 10x is the weight of reviews if you're responding to them, and that's in everything. That's in any of your social media. If someone makes a comment, you always want to comment. Someone makes a comment on a YouTube video, you want to say thank you and elaborate a little bit more. Kind of that conversation is what builds your authority. And then the final thing is in your profile is how I mentioned, always use analytics for everything and see how you're doing. See if you're falling flat. See if if you're starting to pick up traffic. In Google Business specifically, you have the performance button, and that'll show you. Actually, let me just show you what that looks like. No, I lost it. Anyway, it shows you about 5 different things that it shows you your calls, it shows you your views, it shows you impressions, it shows you how many times Google's showing you when people search for certain terms. So you can kind of get a feel for how you're doing, right? And I recommend that for every single platform has analytics. And once you start doing this and you're putting out that effort to create content, analytics becomes a place that you live. It's super interesting to see. It's a lot of times it's unexpected if you have a certain post take off. Just a place that I love to be. Any questions on this so far?
Hey, Eric, real quick.
Yeah.
How do you make a post on that? Like if we have a Google business page, how do you just make a post?
Yeah, I'll show you real quick here. Jump into my profile. Okay. So you guys see that? My browser now? So you go. Add an update right here. So it's super simple. So you get things you're going to want to bring to the table if you're going to add an update is a picture. Some cool, engaging picture. And there's a number of ways of going about that. Take the picture yourself, go onto the kind of free sites and grab them. And then add your description, which it's just a single text box, 1,500 characters. So there's no title or anything like that. So just put something in there, very descriptive. You can have ChatGPT help you out with that. I'm going to show you kind of how to do a blog post with ChatGPT.
Do you throw hashtags in there also, or no?
No, not in this one. It's a little different like that. So you put in your content is your hashtags in this regard. So you're going to want to use your keywords that you're looking for. So if you want to do a post about, from like the examples I'm using here is homes for sale in Kailua, Hawaii. So you want to make sure it's in there, right? So Google's going to see it. The hashtag is a little different how that's leveraged. So hopefully that makes sense. It's just your keywords. It's how you present the keywords. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to make sure it's in there a few times. And then you're going to, obviously the goal of this is to get somebody to act. So you should have something in mind. You can have them call you, right? As a result of this post, you can have them learn more and go to a website. So let's just say, as an example, if you just put out a blog post about something, I would throw it in here and talk about it, and then say just enough information to where they kind of get the blog, but if they want to hear a little more or learn a little more, click out your blog, and that's how you get traffic over to your website. Is that good? Does that answer your question?
Dude, totally does. Perfect.
How many buttons can you add?
Just one.
Okay.
And then the other one is your products. So you can add, for real estate, you can add things like listings to here. Think of it a little differently. That's what I see. I'll see other kind of high ranking realtors will add listings there. If you have like a buyer's guide, if you have a market report, if you have a relocation guide, add that to the product section. And then it's a download. So it's just another lead gen. Always you're kind of always selling, right? Your ultimate goal of everything you do online as a realtor is to have somebody go to your website and get into your CRM. You want them to buy a house, or which is the ultimate, but the kind of interim of what you're trying to do here is get them into your CRM. So that's what these are for. And it just shows that you're alive and providing value. And that's what Google looks for, right?
Eric, I think Michelle had a question.
Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
I do. So where you have your name, the business name, ericmagnuson.com.
Uh-huh.
How can you edit that? So what if you have a typo in that title?
It's your business name. So you go, and I'm going to caution everybody on Google is super sketchy on delisting your profile, and so make sure that it's okay to edit, and you'll probably be okay as long as you don't change anything else. But be really careful if you're changing anything that's about your business, the name of the business, especially as you start to build reviews, because they'll suspend you in a fraction of a second, and I don't ever know why they do it, and it can take months to get it back. So not to go too far into that, but to answer your question, just go to edit profile. You go to edit business name, and it's right there.
So for some reason, Google has put real estate. I mean, I typed it in because I typed it in with a typo, but it has like real estate, Michelle Rollins, Simply Home. But on the business name, it only has like Michelle Rollins, Simply Home. It doesn't have the real estate part. And I have no idea where to go to fix that. And I've yet to find any.
Yeah, I'd have to see it. I would love to say, I don't know if anybody's an expert in Google business. Everybody says they are, but man, it's just it's so weird how the different things that happen. And gosh, I can't tell you how many profiles I've managed and created. And I'm always afraid, especially when I have an established profile. I just almost don't want to change it. Anyhow, okay. I can look at you specifically. If you want to reach out to me.
I can add to this convo. About 2 months ago, Google automatically changed mine, and I had to go in and change it back. So that might have happened. They did that like 2 months back to a lot of people I know. So that you might have got caught up in that, but you can go in and edit it. I did mine and just changed it.
Yeah, so just do that. Go to your profile and see if you can. It'd be interesting to know if that's not in there and it's added somehow else. I doubt they would add something outside of what's in that field, though. That's good to know, though, man. Thanks for that. All right, any more questions on that? I know there's a lot to this, and I get it, and hopefully you're just taking notes and kind of getting the highlights, and you can always follow up with it. Another thing to do, so as a part of when you're making your profile, is there's the process of getting verified, and that's different depending on who you are and what you're trying to do. It typically will be, if you don't use an address, it's going to just verify on like a text to the phone number that you use. If you do use a physical address, I've seen it where it'll send a postcard. So it takes a few weeks. It sends a postcard with a code on the postcard, and you go back to your profile and you enter that code, and it verifies you. I've also seen it now where they want you to take a video of you walking down the street to the address, go into the business, sit down, and just show that you went in and that you're in your business. And that's where I say, like, I just recently did that on an established profile, and they suspended the profile, and I have no idea why, because it was me on the video showing exactly where I went. But so be careful with that if you try to verify an already approved profile that didn't have an address before, or if you're changing your address. But definitely get verified. And then for real estate agents, I would definitely recommend getting screened. So you show up as Google screened. And all that is a background check. and they check your license. And there's a cost associated with it, with whoever the background check service is. But I just feel like it, it definitely helps you verify that, you know what you're doing, you're licensed. I think they check your insurance as well. So definitely recommend doing that. So any more questions on Google Business? I'm going to jump into kind of how you build your content and how to think about building content that you're going to put in starting with your Google Business profile. Ultimately, I'm going to show you guys how to create a blog post in very short amount of time that will give you a chance of ranking with local SEO. So let's jump on. So why you want to pay attention to SEO? And I know SEO is it's a really, really deep topic to get into. It's a lot. And there's people that their entire business is just SEO. I love it. It's just kind of, I love data, looking at what other people are doing and trying to rank. It's kind of a game. But what it does for you is if you're looking at certain keywords you want to rank for in real estate, it's been done. Everybody knows you want to rank for, real estate agent near me. You want to rank for homes for sale in this area, condos for sale in this area, and then all kind of the ancillary iterations of that term, right? So this enables you to go out and look at what other people are doing based on those keywords. Look at their content, study them, and you can start to you can R&D, that content, and everyone knows what that means: rip off and duplicate. And there's nothing wrong with it. With AI, you can make it you, so you're not plagiarizing. I'm not going to recommend you just do this blindly. Understand your content, add your spirit to the content. Don't try to just flat out do it out of ChatGPT, because it's obvious if you do. But what this enables you to do, if you kind of run through, look at your competitors are doing, have ChatGPT build you out a list or a blog post, and then you go in and kind of change the terminology, maybe add some of your experience, your story to it. That's going to be, you're going to go toe to toe with the big players that are paying ad agencies, $10, $20, $30,000 a month. You can get real similar content out. So I'll show you kind of at a very basic level and how to do keyword research and keyword strategy. I'm going to show you at kind of the high, kind of super simple stage. I'm going to give you a blog post that you can go to that'll show you other tools, free tools you can use to maybe enhance that experience. And then we're going to build out the content. So here's kind of the strategy, right? So you're going to pick words and phrases that you want to show up for. Basically, you're going to look at your competitors, and then ultimately you're going to look at analytics and see how you're doing. And using things like Google Analytics will be the main one. I'm not going to really cover that in here because that's a whole topic by itself. And I'm going to cover that at the end of this 8-week course. But for now, just kind of give you some visibility into that, what the process is at a really high level. So let's do this. I'm going to show you what to look for. So here we are. I just searched homes for sale in Kailua, Hawaii. And you just kind of want to see what shows up when you do that. And there's tools that can help you kind of extrapolate on this for maybe a more robust strategy. But ultimately, it's what I'm going to show you right here is what the strategy is. So you got this term. You can see the people that are paying Google to show up for these terms. You got Corcoran, obviously all the bigs, Zillow, Realtor. What I like to do is look at a couple of things. So people also ask. So people that are searching that exact phrase, homes for sale in Kailua, Hawaii, are also searching these terms. So this is something to think about. And what I do with this information is once I do a blog post on something like homes for sale in Kailua, Hawaii, like an area blog post, you start to pay attention to these people also ask phrases, and you start to answer those questions in your blog post. And you're going to get traffic for that as you start to build that list of answered questions, because it's relevant, right? You got to maintain it, but you're going to have relevant terms that people are searching. It's going to be niched down already to local SEO. So you're going to show up if you're answering these questions. So you have that, and then at the bottom there's more kind of keyword searches that go with that. For competitor research, the first thing that I look for the first like local area business that's showing up organically. And I try to replicate what they're doing. I don't try to go toe to toe with Trulia, Redfin, Realtor. I try to go toe to toe with Hawaii Living. So I click into that. And I'm kind of getting ahead. I'm kind of jumping around in my presentation. I don't want to make sure that I'm not confusing that. Yeah. Okay. So I click into that and you kind of see, okay, what did they do? Why did they show up? This is just a search page. So this is why right here, as I scroll down, they have all of this curated content for the Kailua area. There's all these neighborhoods, just a little bit of information about each of the neighborhoods, history, kind of, you want to have these, if you have area search pages, like most real estate platforms, KV Core, Lofty, I can't think of any of the other ones right now, but they have the ability to create area pages. Most realtors will just check the boxes, area pages show up on their website. What they don't realize is you can go back on those area pages and you can add this type of content to those area pages. So you're going to show up, and I see people that have like the worst looking KV Core site that will be doing this type of putting this type of information on their area search pages, and they'll show up with the big players on local searches just because they did this kind of work out in front of it. A little bit of effort. But so what I'm going to do now is I'll show you kind of how I alluded to building a blog post. So now I have a ranked, basically informational neighborhood page that showed up first organically. So it's just a great example. What I'm going to do. Yep.
So I can see very well what is in that. Like, what type of information are you putting on the area page?
So, yeah, let me get back out to that. So here, let me see if I can increase this. So what you want to do is discuss the market, the home prices, maybe price range, just a overall narrative about the area, just generally. And then you can go in and talk about the different neighborhoods or condo complexes, or just the specific, sections of that area that you want to highlight. For a Kailua here, these are the different neighborhoods: Beachside, Lanikai, Kailua Bluffs, Enchanted Lake. These are just all, little neighborhoods. And then this goes into history. So maybe there's something you need to convey about the area, if there's a history to it. Just think, if you've never been there, what do you want to know about the area? So think in terms of that. So you're speaking to someone that just doesn't really know about the area, maybe kind of knows about the area. Think in terms of providing value. That's what beats everybody doing AI generated content. So, just get in there and type it out, spend a little time, use AI to kind of set out the framework for you, but then backfill it with your experience.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now I'm going to show you this little, what I call my recipe for a blog post. And this is very good for real estate, because as far as creativity goes, you can only get so creative with this type of post. I would say, I say your creativity needs to go into your social media and how you lead people to this information or lead people to your CRM. But this kind of, you just want it to be good, strong, well-organized information. And why not just cut to the chase and see what your competitor's doing and use that to help you. So here's how you do it. The 4 steps. First thing, we just did it, the keyword research. So, we see this article. So what I'm going to do now is I take this article and I just kind of start here with my mouse cursor and I drag through it all the way to the bottom to get this information. I copy it. And then whenever I build a blog post, kind of my process is that I have a folder where I kind of queue my information that I'm going to use to build the blog. So for this one right here, I have a text document and I just copied, and it doesn't matter that this is ugly, that I just pasted this information into, because ChatGPT is going to be looking at it and it can just blow through all that, and it's looking at the content of that article, right? So now you have the narrative from that article that you're going to be able to use in ChatGPT. So what I do is I go over to, I get into ChatGPT. You take that text document and you just drag it into your prompt, or you can hit the little attach file. And this works on the other ones like Perplexity and Bard, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just happening to use ChatGPT here. So you attach the file. So now here's all that information, and then here's a prompt, and I'll drop the link to the prompt that you guys can use to kind of try it out yourself in the chat right now. Wish you saw how many windows I had open right now. You'll understand why I'm having a hard time. All right, let me find that prompt. All right, here we go. You guys can all click into this and grab this prompt. This is it right here. And, it's just kind of way of it. There's kind of an art to prompting, and you're going to want to change, obviously, the keyword that you're looking for that I have highlighted, but everything else is generic. So as long as you attach that document that I was talking about, that we copied to your ChatGPT session, you're going to say, see the attached text file. It's from a web page in case it wonders why it's so ugly. And you're just telling it, hey, I want to rank in the top 10 for this. You need to be an expert in SEO, experienced copywriter, and you've gotten blogs ranked before. That just kind of helps cue the session up. And then it's going to say create a similar post. And then at the end, I also have it create this SEO specific stuff. And you'll see what that is if you've ever created a blog post, you'll know what this stuff is. But if you haven't, I'll show you. I'm going to show you an example of posting out of Lofty. So take that, you drop that into ChatGPT, and here we go. So it kicks out that first bit of information that you're going to be able to use when you do your blog. And then here's your article. So, and it also gives you kind of recommendations at the end of other things to do. Internal linking, external linking. And you can do this now, or you can kind of maybe start to get used, if you haven't done blog posts before, maybe, I don't know, you don't want to confuse yourself. You don't want to overwhelm. All this stuff isn't really that big of a deal, but it's stuff that really helps you. So you already have the keywords integrated based on the post that we're going to copy out of this ChatGPT session. Internal linking, that means that you're linking to other areas inside your website, like your market report, property searches, that kind of stuff. Google sees if your website is kind of leading people all through it, functionally, that helps you rank. That's a signal that you have a thought out service for people. External linking, that helps you. You're linking out to other resources. You always want to add images. Video is the holy grail, but images are good as well. Content length, 1,500 to 2,000 words is kind of the go-to for a blog post. And then calls to action, which is probably going to be your internal linking as well. But so when you do that prompt, you'll see all this stuff. So you'll have it. So get back to my presentation here. So there you go. So this is kind of step 2 that we're in. You've done the search. You've run the prompt in ChatGPT. You have your blog post now. It's in that ChatGPT thread. The next things you want to do to prep for your article, grab some images. And I don't know if everybody has done this before. You can get images out of Canva. There's a bunch of copyright free websites that you can use. Don't just grab them off the internet, because you can get into trouble. You can get, people can try to fine you for that. But I'd say Canva's kind of a good place to start for grabbing images. So get those, and then have your links ready. So for this blog post, I'm gonna put in a property search and then a market report, just a couple of calls to action, and then have this all ready. And that's why I'm mentioning my personal process. And a lot of designers, this is what they do. They have a folder that's all ready to go. So I've got all my images in here. I've got my links. I already had the prompt, and they're all kind of ready to go. So I'm going to go in and post a blog. I can find it. There we go. So I'm in Lofty right now, and Heather let me use her paid version of Lofty. So you need the kind of add on to Lofty if you're gonna do this. It's like $40-$50 a month, something like that. Totally worth it. It makes it just extends the value of this website. It makes it a super robust real estate website. So now I have my ChatGPT session that just kicked out the blog post. If I can find it. Right here. So I'm going to copy. First thing I'm going to do is copy the title. Obviously, don't copy the blog post part. I'll show you how fast this can be. There's the title. Grab the post, the body of it. So you're on your way to a blog post right now. That, like I said, I would recommend running through it and making sure it makes sense. I wouldn't really use nestled. I would just say located. To get the idea, kind of go through and make sure it sounds like you and it doesn't have any strange adjectives that you would never use. Maybe expand on some of the areas if you want to kind of inject your personal experience. And then if you want to get, you definitely want to have images in these. I'll just show you how to do one. And so right now I'm just going to go enter right below this little heading here. I go to image, upload, browse for an image. It's going to be just right here. I'm going to use this. Use that one. Alt text. It's a good idea to put alt text in your images to just kind of describe the image. It helps you with SEO. So don't leave that blank. And then you may want to reduce the size. Like I usually say 1200 on any of my blog posts. And then save it. So now you have the first image, and you just kind of go through and put images in there kind of as you see fit. Next thing, so now basically your blog post is ready to go. You've edited it, you put your images in. Author, The slug, I don't think these blog posting platforms usually give you the best slug. And that's just the suffix of the URL. So it's going to be your website / whatever this is going to be. That's why I have that built into the prompt. So I'm just going to use that. So I copy that, I drop it in. So now that's going to be the link. Categories, I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. As you start to get more blog posts, you want to categorize them. And that category will be a page by itself, right? So you can have neighborhood blog posts. You can have real estate specific blog posts. Just think of all the different high level topics that you would have. You could just start having categories. Here in Lofty, there's all blog posts typically have a way of having a featured image. And it shows this first one that I put in the blog. I could have it use a different one if I wanted to. I'm just going to leave that. You definitely want to have a featured image because that's what shows up if you send that link to somebody and they see it on their phone. Say this featured image is what's going to show up on the phone. So it just kind of adds to the experience. And then SEO. This stuff kind of helps. So I just kind of always do my own. I don't go with what the platforms tell me to do. So meta title, I had it produce that, which is right here. And that's different from your title on your blog because meta titles have certain characteristics that they need to show up on Google correctly. It has to be under 60 characters. The description has to be under 160 characters. That way it shows up, the whole thing shows up when someone searches for you and they find you. Whereas the regular title to the blog can be basically whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So I'm gonna drop this title in here. I'm gonna drop the description. And you're basically done. Now you got a blog post that's gonna show up on your website. Another aspect in Lofty and some other ones is you can schedule the post. So if you want to come in here and make blog posts for the next 2 months, once a week, do this real quick. Imagine it would take you 2 to 3 hours, but then boom, now you're, it's much better to do that than to try to go in here and dump 10 to 20 posts on the same day. It just looks like you're trying to, fluff your amount of content. It's not necessary. It's not looked at favorably from Google if you do that. So just schedule it out over the next few weeks. Kind of take the time to do that, build all your images up. And you'll get faster as you start doing it if you haven't done it. Like you see, I don't know how long that took me, 5-10 minutes to do a blog post. And I'm not going to post it because Heather doesn't sell real estate in Kailua. Although she may want to someday. That's what I got. So you guys have any, I know that's a lot. And like I said, you guys can always reach out to me if you have any specific questions to your own situation.
Roya has a question. How many per week should we do to increase our SEO ranking?
How many blogs per week? I would say probably, do as many as if you feel like you have more content than one per week, it's fine. It's good. Split it out every couple of days and just build that base of blogs. But once a week's fine, I would say. In some cases, I would even say once a month is fine if it's valuable. But what raises, so the way to think of it is you have your target audience, right? You have your, I'm going to stop sharing so I'm on screen. All right, I'm back. So you have your obviously your strategy in play, right? You have your target audience. You kind of know the topics that you want to address, and the more content you can build on that, the better off you are because that's going to spread your foot. Other things involved, like you don't want to have competing pages. Make sure that your keyword usage is per page. You don't want to have 5 pages that all are Kailua real estate because they're going to compete against each other. You just want to have one core page, and then maybe you have the kind of those ancillary topics that you link from that page and start to address those in their own blog. That's a mistake I see. People will do a ton of posts on a single community, but they're competing with each other, so it just dilutes your effort. So just kind of pay attention to that. More so than how many you do. That's more important. Definitely do them, but it's not like social media where you need to have those daily signals where you need to have your story and your reels and all that kind of stuff. It's more like foundational content. So, less is fine. Hopefully that answered your question. Oh, and now I'm seeing the comments. Sorry, I wasn't looking at that. So, Chantel, you mentioned seeing the videos again. Which videos did you want to see?
All of them. I need to play them in slow motion.
So you're talking about just maybe this whole presentation. We can, or I can put the slides out too if you want to. Is that cool?
Yeah, the video would be awesome, just so I could kind of follow it and pause it. And
yeah, cool. So ultimately too, what I'm doing is this course is going to be in a community that I have that's kind of a mastermind, and if you join that, you'll have access to all of this stuff, and at your own leisure, you can go through it, and then we'll have those kind of discussions on workshops on actually building it all out. But yeah, but we'll get that to you. Any more questions? Definitely, I would say your action items from this is to get that Google business profile up, verified, and optimized. If you don't do anything else from this, do that. It's gonna help you, and then start sending people to review you. Get 10, 20 reviews. I know we can all do that, relatively short order. Especially if you've had, past client, I think is a huge resource. So my advice to you, any more questions? There's nothing else, then we can close this out. You guys can get on with your day until next week.
There's another class number 4. I don't remember which one that one is. Eric, do you know which class you're doing next week?
I should. It is social media strategy. So I'm going to talk about social media strategy. Kind of I've alluded to it a little bit. We're going to talk kind of similar to how I did that blog post whole exercise. We'll do a similar thing for managing your social media calendar and building your content out for a month, 2 months. So yeah, we'll get in. And I separate social media. There's 2 components to social media. I think of like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that as one thing. And then YouTube's its own beast, right? So that's going to be the 5th week is we're going to talk about YouTube, building a YouTube channel, talking about thumbnails, how to produce those, how to, I'm even going to outline how to do a video in Canva. So if you have no idea how to do a video or you're not really sure which way you should go, I'll show you in Canva, and maybe CapCut. Those are the 2 that I recommend. And they're both getting good too. They're like I might quit using the Adobe suite and start using CapCut. It's that good now, and it's cheap. So that's a little bit into the future for you.